Hello, Sovereign Grace Church family. I hope you're doing well. We are approaching our fourth Sunday of not being able to meet together, and this coming Sunday is actually the first Sunday of the month, which for us means communion. I wanted to talk to you about communion because we had to wrestle through the question of should we participate in the Lord's Supper while we can't be together. I wanted to let you know that as pastors, we thought this through, had some discussions about this, and we really landed on the decision to wait until we can be gathered together, present with one another, before we celebrate as a church the Lord's Supper. Virtually everything about this decision rested on the idea of being physically present with one another. You know, when it comes to the sacraments, it's the method is so important because that's so much tied into the meanings that we're after in the sacraments. And so as we thought this through and decided to wait, we were thinking about communion and realizing, you know, it's always when the church is gathered together, when they're present with one another. It's a meal that is shared when the people of God are gathered together. You know, interestingly, even Jesus, when he instituted the supper and he ate and drank with the disciples, but he was about to leave this earth and return to the Father, he made a point of saying, I'm not going to participate in this until I see you again, until I'm with you again in the kingdom. So the presence is actually very important when it comes to the sacraments. The sacraments convey that we have a bond with Christ, and that's his body and his blood that we're eating and drinking. That bond is also our bond with one another. So we've got these visible symbols of these spiritual realities, and we have the visible presence of one another, the one loaf and the one cup that we share together. So again, the method becomes important in portraying the meaning. We just want to avoid any unintentional downgrading of this sacrament. We'd like to find ways instead to elevate it. Now, I understand an argument could be made on the other side that through a digital medium, we could consider ourselves together. This is certainly not a time for us to be dogmatic or uncharitable. This is not a hard and fast rule that we're holding to. What we did as pastors was think through, without there being an absolute right or wrong here, what would be wisdom and what would be the greater values that we could promote in the decision that we make here. And that's why we decided to wait. We trust that waiting is actually going to stir up some anticipation, a fresh longing. In a sense, this is a miniature how we wait for heaven. We long for that marriage supper of the Lamb when we can sit around the table face to face with Jesus. And now we're faced with another short season where we have to wait until we can gather around the table again as a church. I hope that just stirs your faith, hope, and expectation, because we certainly look forward to the day when we can celebrate the Lord's Supper in one another's presence together. And remember, folks, it's not the sacrament that we rely upon. It's the Savior that the sacrament represents. So let's trust the Savior, and we look forward to that day. We hope it's very soon when we can share with one another around the table.